Shadeeur Sanders finally makes his highly anticipated debut for the Cleveland Browns, and we're really excited to get into that. Welcome to the Brownie Points podcast. I'm your host, Noam, and I'm here with my co-host,
Levi.
Excellent. We're also going to be giving out brownie points during our brownie points segment. That's where you award brownie points to the standout players on offense and on defense. We give out 3, 2, and 1. We're going to round out our episode with our preview segment, Browns versus the Niners. We don't like to waste too much time here, so Levi, we're going to get straight into it. What was your overall impression of Shadeeur Sanders and his performance versus the Vegas Raiders?
On its own, I'll tell you just straight up, it's underwhelming. Like, it's just an underwhelming performance. You know, there's an old saying that when you're too close in the picture, usually it's about someone's personal life, but when you're too close there, you can't see what's going on. You don't see the picture. You just see this one little piece you're staring at. But if you step outside, you get this wider view. So I think a perfect example is if you look at Cam Ward in like all those games early, whenever it's like he's playing so bad, but he would have this one huge highlight play. So it's like important to remember that's not everything. The difference is he's not being asked to make as many special plays as Cam Ward has been needed to. Not saying he's made them, meaning that he would need to. And part of that's because of where their offense is, but also because mainly their defense is terrible too. And our defense is dominant. So it's a little different. But if you look at that, you kind of get that same perspective, right? So he had this one great play. And don't get me wrong, what a play. Phenomenal play. About 45 air yards on the run. So really good. It was where it needed to be, and it was better than that. That's actually not fair. It's where it should have been. It was on pace.
Yeah.
Right. So like he
didn't even have to break stride. Yeah.
So
it was
that
on
was
target,
a beautiful
on the
ball,
run. Yeah.
And he deserves a ton of credit for making that throw. And honestly, it doesn't like shock me in terms of arm strength, but it did surprise me in terms of arm strength. It's more than I've seen him put out there. There's more to arm strength than that, but definitely more than I've seen previously.
Yeah, it was
and
impressive
a little more
throw.
than I thought he had. So I do want to give him some credit on that. I thought it was good. I thought it was a phenomenal play. I thought it was, as we were saying earlier before the show, an S tier.
Yeah.
But there's more to that. So if you could hand me, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I just want to take a quick look. So what we did is I actually went through each and every play and just going to do a quick rundown for you, the audience that we love. It's just a quick rundown of all of his dropbacks. So here's what happens. First throw behind line of scrimmage. Second play, routine 5-yard pass. Then you get a throw out of bounds. Then you get another throw behind the line of scrimmage. Then a pass at the line of scrimmage that was missed, so it was incomplete. Then he has that phenomenal play, followed up by a terrible interception that, by the way, should have been picked by 2 different players. One of them actually held up.
Yeah, it was a really bad pick.
It's one thing to miss one guy, but you're missing 2? That means you're no. Okay, moving on. Routine 5-yard play, a throwaway, the throw to Judy, which, you know, it is a little bit downfield, but you get a minimum routine play because he's just drifting out there, gets to step up to throw to a guy with nobody within 8 to 10 yards around him. Ultimately, it's a backup level play. So, I mean, definitely good on him for making
There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not necessarily like, wow, what a huge play. Yeah.
You get a plus, but not, you know, you get more than like a 4-yard play routine, but it's not huge.
Yeah.
A routine play for 4 yards on 3rd and 9. An overthrow down the field was a little dangerous, but yeah. But no, sorry. This one was just a regular throw downfield where it was a small overthrow. Then he throws behind the line of scrimmage. Then you get the Fannin miracle, as I'm calling it, where it's about 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, and he does what Fannin does on a 3rd and 12.
Sure.
Then he gets pressured and he throws away in the dirt. Actually, nothing wrong with that play. Just sometimes plays get blown up. Sideline throw, which was just a little too far out, so the guy had to kind of dive for it. I don't want to give him too much. It was a good decision. Like, he's rolling and there's not a lot open.
Yeah.
So it's a throw to the sideline. It's just a little too far out for him to make the play, but good decision. A little bad, but not terrible. Behind line of scrimmage, way overthrown in the end zone that could have been picked if the safety had got a good beat on it, but he's kind of playing the receiver a little bit, and Cedric doesn't see it coming. But ultimately, way overthrown. And then a throwaway, and then the throw to Samson, which was about 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And then he just kind of on the 3rd and 9, and he just, you know, makes it happen. So the point of that is really just put into context that, like, it wasn't a great game. It was a 55% completion rate game. And
he was 11 for 20.
He's 11 for 20. And
one
a lot
touchdown,
of that stuff
one
was
pick.
short.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, like there was a lot of, you know, there was a few misses. There was a couple, like, really routine stuff. You know, and most of the big plays were just guys making plays after the catch.
Yeah.
One phenomenal play. So, look, the moment he made that pick, they kind of, like, you can see them consciously taking it back and be like, hey, we have such a great defense. We got this blessing of that special teams play that set us up for that touchdown.
Yeah.
Let's just see where we can go with it. And that was the right decision in the game. But, you know, ultimately, that's not a great way to grade a quarterback because most games are not going to be like that.
And you also have to remember, and I want you to get into this, but you also have to think about the opponent. And the Raiders are not exactly a top-tier team. I mean, they had the same record as the Browns coming into this. And the Raiders have a terrible offense, which also, look, I mean, you want to give Shadeeur credit where it's due, but at the same time, it is important to recognize the context of that game, which was that he was playing a terrible defense. How much of that do you think factored into it?
Well, I mean, you think factored in on a major level on multiple levels, right? So, like, as far as who they are as a team, right? Because think about what a different game it is if we don't get that special teams play, which we're not getting all year. So it's not like we have a good special teams.
No, we have a terrible special teams, actually. That's what I was like, whoa. When I saw that play, I wasn't thinking, wow, the Browns special teams is like, what a great play they made. I actually thought, wow, the Raiders defense must be horrific.
Yeah, Chip Kelly got fired after that game.
So yes, he did, yeah.
Yeah, you know how bad it is. When the Raiders make you look good. Yeah. But anyway, point is, we get there. So we're right there, and then we just run it twice. We get into the end zone. That's a huge gift, right? So then Shadeeur has that phenomenal play. Deserves all the credit.
Yeah.
Gets 7-3. Let's just say for a second we don't get that first play, that special teams play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we get the touchdown. We feel good at 7-0. Then you get 7-3 off that pick. And now it's a very different ballgame. You have to play differently. The Raiders are going to play differently because they're not down by multiple touchdowns. They're not freaking out.
Right.
So they're playing for field goals. Some of those plays, they did not play for field goals. They were playing for touchdowns. They're playing for field goals. They could very well be getting the lead late in the game 9-7. And while that's not anything terrifying, they might not be making some of those stupid penalties. You know, it's a different kind of game.
Yeah, you never know how the Raiders might manage and game plan going forward.
And how does your offense manage? Because suddenly you need points. It's a
right.
different game plan. So I'm not saying it would have been way worse, but the point is they really gifted you a lot. They gave you a field goal drive via Jamal Adams just deciding to suplex or was it Dylan Sampson like after carrying him for 6 yards. Like
yeah, bailing the Browns out with the penalty, yeah.
Yeah, and another roughing the passer, which was actually questionable.
Yeah.
It was a very questionable penalty, and it was actually an illegal play on the Browns, so that was it was double lucky.
Yeah.
Point being, yeah, they opened up too much, right? Their special teams helps you, that helps you, and then their offense, having traded away Jacoby, sorry, not Jacoby, their best receiver, they traded him.
Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers, yes.
Yeah, they picked up Tyler Lockett. They traded Jacoby Myers.
And Lockett had a couple big plays, which is already not
that
great
one
for
made
us
sense because he already knows Pete Carroll. Like,
yeah, but it's also not great for us because Lockett hasn't been that good
for
a while. So like that wasn't a great sign right off the bat. But okay, point being, but like you know they're Mr. Consistent. Myers, the guy who makes all the consistent plays and moves offense downfield. Like you should have had him plus Lockett, not just Myers. But anyway, the point is. Without him on the field, they definitely had their effect, and they were just trying a little too much to make big plays.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, and good for you for taking advantage. You have to. But the point is, it doesn't make me feel confident moving forward.
Yeah. I wonder about, we talk about all those things like the Raiders, defense being really terrible. We also wanted to contextualize that his completion percentage is a little lower than you might have initially thought. I think if you remove from that game his pick, so you remove that from the game, and you remove that big play, the big completion, right? So you take away the throw to Isaiah Bond, but you also take away his worst play, his interception. So again, you're taking away his best, and you're taking away his worst play. There's almost nothing happened, basically.
There's nothing to talk about.
And there's something else that I want to discuss, and I do want to say here, I give him a C grade. I thought it was fine, right? I actually was texting you during the game, and I was texting you after that. I was actually fairly impressed. Not impressed that I thought he played so amazing, but impressed because I thought I saw improvement from him, and I thought he played better. Well, I should say he did play better than I thought he was going to play. That being said, was fairly average. They were playing a very bad Raiders defense, and then on top of that, you could see how many rollouts the Browns had. That wasn't plays where the pressure was coming in and Shadeeur, deftly evaded the pressure and moved out to the right and extended the play. Those were drawn-up plays. He was supposed to get the ball and roll right or roll left. And he did that, of course, and he executed what they had him do. But at the same time, they didn't ask him to be in the pocket that much. And that was our biggest concern going into this game. That's why we thought this game had the potential to be absolutely dysfunctional. Not even the ability to make little 5-yard dump-offs, but a game where he's dropping back, the defensive line is closing in on him every single time, and he's being absolutely terrorized to the point where nothing can get done. I was afraid would happen in that game, and he didn't do that. So that I think he deserves some credit for. But at the same time, part of the reason why that didn't happen was because they didn't ask him to be in the pocket as much as I thought they might. They did a great job having him roll out, which takes advantage of his specialties. And they also had him come off the field on quite a number of plays, especially critical plays in the red zone, in order to run the Wildcat with Quinton Judkins, which, look, it was successful. So I don't have anything bad to say about the coaching staff on that decision. It worked great. But that being said, those are critical plays that would have been really useful to evaluate Shadeeur Sanders in high pressure, in tight situations in the red zone that we were in a way robbed of because they decided to run the Wildcat instead. Now you have to wonder about what that says about Shadeeur and his preparation and his ability, because you would think the coaching staff would. The coaching staffs don't typically take off the quarterback to run the Wildcat. That's typically an odd play to do. And if you do it, you're not doing it 5 times.
Not common.
And if you do it, you're not doing it 5 times in a game.
Since the early 2010s at least.
Yeah. And if you do, you're not doing it 5 times in a game. So the fact that they did it 5 times in that game, or it might have been more, might have been a little bit less, but it's around 5, tells me that they're not super confident in Shadeur's ability. The fact that they had Shadeur roll out that many times against a pretty bad Raiders defense, although to be fair, maybe we're just giving a lot of credit to Max Crosby, it does make you wonder about what they're seeing on the back end. And it also makes you wonder about how that will project to next week versus the Niners. We'll talk about that more a little bit later. But when you're going to play against a better defense than the Raiders, who are one of the worst in the league, and then you're going to have the extra layer of now teams know how you're game planning for Shadeeur Sanders. And again, the Browns deserve a lot of credit for game planning to Shadeeur Sanders' strengths. But you're not going to be able to do that little rollout play every game. And everyone's watching that tape
play
now.
Against Bond, I got to tell you, I think there's other games he gets sacked. I think the other games where faster guys get to.
That's potentially true,
that's
but
not for sure true, but I'm saying like there was enough time in there that there are teams you're playing that are faster. My point of that is not to say it wasn't a good play. My point of that is to say that when you're not playing at that top level, it suddenly shows up a lot more when you play teams with faster linebackers and quicker guys.
That's something that remains to be seen, right? We'll see what happens, going forward. But the point being that teams are going to be adjusting now to that, and you're not going to be able to, play to that strength necessarily. He's going to be forced to be in the pocket much more, is my guess, against the Niners, and if not against the Niners, against the next week's team. And that's when we're really going to see what happens. Now, again, that's some of the negatives. Yeah. But I do want to really say that, I'm sorry, I do really want to emphasize, and I'm kind of going for a while here, but I do also want to emphasize, though, that I gave him that C because I did see improvement, and I thought it was going to be way worse than it was. And yes, they had him roll out, but look, he still rolled out correctly. Most of the plays when he dropped back appropriately. He didn't take an extra 3 steps back as soon as there was any pressure. There was a play or two where he even stepped up in the pocket, which was great to see. And again, part of that might just be because he's playing against a really bad defense and he isn't feeling as much heat, and it's easier to stay focused and calm and composed and make the right decisions when you're not under consistent duress. But when he is going forward, that might change drastically. We will have to see. But I'm going to judge him mostly on what he did and the cards that he was dealt, and I thought he did a better job than what I was expecting. I thought, again, the offense was relatively functioning. I was afraid that they wouldn't be able to get anything done. He had that big play, he had that really bad play, but he also had that big play, and he is a rookie. We have to remember that, even though we are pretty critical of Shadeeur Sanders. Well, honestly, critical, I think we're being fair, but we've been pumping the brakes a lot. We haven't been super high on him, not expecting amazing things from him, but I do think we have to be a little bit fair here and remember that he is a rookie, and generally we don't evaluate rookies by the totality of their performance. We actually tend to evaluate rookies by, we look at your wow plays and, are you flashing the potential? And then in general, are you showing growth? So I don't mean it can't be bad and you have a couple good plays, but you can have a couple of good plays and play bad if you showed improvement. So if against the Niners, he is in the pocket even more and his completion percentage is 60% or higher, and he stays in the pocket the same way he did now, but on more plays, and steps up into the pocket, that will be enough for me. 2 or 3 big plays, and then even if he throws a pick, I'll be okay with that to say I want to see him continue to play and see if he will continue to improve. So overall, I think I have a fairly nuanced take. I think there's a lot of things that I said that I think really have to be contextualized, that like even a lot of what was great might not have actually been that great. But I do want to give him credit where it's due. I thought it was overall C performance. I thought it was decent. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I'm very curious to see what we have going forward. I don't know if you had any more thoughts.
Yes,
on
I
it.
do have some additional thoughts. So first of all, I want to warn Browns fans. I would take you back to the preseason, and I would take you back to remembering that first Panthers game. And everybody was super excited, and I actually was saying, "Halt, be careful," and etc. etc. But what I did think he actually thought, I was like, "Oh, you know what? His pocket management looks a little bit better." Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? It does look a little bit better than I expected. And then he played the Rams, and he got some pressure, and he looked god-awful. It went right back to those same problems. So I would advise caution about the pocket management. Let's see how he does against the Niners.
Yeah.
Let's see if he gets blitzes, if he doesn't do what he did against the Ravens, and again, kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think
that's what I'm saying. Like, they're going to adjust. They're going to adjust. They're not going to give him time.
It's not adjustment. It's Stefanski's drilling into his head. Stop doing that. And so consciously, he's thinking, stop doing that. But the problem is sometimes when you're in a fast situation, things are coming quickly, and you have to make quick decisions, you go back to your bad habits. So the question is, has it been drilled in enough yet? that he'll make the right decisions when it matters, or when things are a little dicey, he won't step up in the tight pocket. When it's a little tighter, but you're supposed to step up.
Yeah.
That's what I need to see. So just a word of caution on that. The other thing
because
is...
he would often, to be fair, before he would even drop back, even when it was a clean pocket, but there are times, with even a tight pocket, you still actually need to step up.
Right. And what I also want to bring up is I'm actually moving his grade to a D+. So first it was a C-. I'm actually moving it to D+.
Okay.
The reason I'm moving it to D+ is, as good as that one play was, it kind of plays into my biggest concerns about him. Because I don't think those are the kind of plays he's generally made to make. I think those are the kinds of plays that you have to be in a very rare, occasional thing. Mm-hmm. I think this is the same problem you've seen from guys who are more physically talented, but guys like Caleb Williams and Cam Ward that scramble too much and then massively struggle because they're not really playing the game. As much as I like that play required no reading of the defense.
Right, I get what you're trying to get at here, yeah.
Bond is open for a while, he sees him coming his way, and then makes the play.
What you're trying to say is that's not sustainable. You don't look at that and say, wow, if he can make that throw, he can be a quarterback in the NFL. That's not what you're going to be doing play to play.
It's actually not the thing I need to see most improvement on. The thing I'm most doubtful about Shadeaur on is his processing.
Right,
it's his quickness of his read.
His processing is slow.
And actually, I think if he leans too much into that play and gets too excited by the play, it will make him worse. Mm-hmm. Because other teams are better. They have quicker safeties and linebackers that will come in, and they will catch him. He's not a superior athlete. He's a good athlete. He's not a superior athlete. He's not Cam Ward, Caleb Williams. He's better than some guys on the move. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say he's some slow Tom Brady type. He's not.
Yeah.
He's a little more athletic than Dylan. I'm not trying to knock him.
Yeah.
I'm only saying that he's not a superior level. He's not a Lamar. He's not a Cam. He's not that freakish guy that can really buy you all that time. And so those can get you into really big trouble. Yeah. Especially when you're trying to make a big play and you're not making your reads right. So...
And with his slow processing, they might bait him too.
They might bait him. It's just it's a little nerve-wracking. So it's so I'm moving it down a little bit because I didn't see any replays still. Maybe even a lot of times in the underneath game, it wasn't great reads. It was more just open, throw open. I'm not trying to be too much negative because as much as I don't like him as a prospect, I don't want to always be negative. And that play was a phenomenal play. I listened to the post-game conference, and in the post-game, he's sitting there going, that was just me on 1 week. Imagine what it's like, later in the season with an off-season. Right. That's when it wasn't dangerous.
It's right. So 55% completion percentage, one touchdown,
big play, most
one
plays,
pick, big play, right. It's if that's what we could expect week to week, that's not really a good thing. What I wanted to hear him say, it was more hey, we did some good things, and we're going to keep improving. And
it's not that he can't have edge. He could say, yeah, man, he's I came in there, and, I put it up, and, he could have been something hey, I made some big plays. I'm excited about it. Some things I'm going to work on, but hey, I'm very excited to get my first win. I'm promising more wins. You know what I mean? You can have a little edge. It's not like you have to come in there and be straight edge.
Yeah, you don't have to. You can have some confidence.
I'm confident. I'm going to bring winning back to Cleveland. You know what I mean? You can be I'm absolutely, I'm that guy. I'm going to go back to work this week, and we're getting more work in. This is only 1 week. I'm going to put in more weeks, and that's, you know what I mean? You can do it in a way that it's a little more, shows a touch more humility, but it's not
this isn't even really humility thing, because what he said,
humility really, but he's projecting extreme arrogance.
Yeah, I was going to say, but it's not really the humility that you have the problem with. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems like what you're saying, and I do agree with this.
I like edge.
Is that, it's not the problem that he showed some edge. The problem is that if that's what you actually think of your performance, then that says a lot about your inability. That shows a lot about your lack of self-awareness. And you need to recognize that you did not play a very sustainable game, and you need to recognize how much room there is to grow. Now, I'm not saying he didn't, but based off the words that came out of his mouth, I really hope that's not how you evaluated that game, because there is a lot to work on still. Yeah. And there's a lot you're going to need to adjust to as they adjust to you. They're going to make sure they're not going to allow those rollout plays, and they're going to be bringing the heat. But again, we'll get into that when we get to our preview segment.
Absolutely, but I'm just saying that I just don't want him to come in there because if he's coming in there thinking that's a good game, he's going to set himself up for an awful world-crushing defeat.
It's also bad for the press. Well, we saw that with Baker Mayfield, right? When the Browns were winning, everybody loved everything he said, but as the Browns were losing, everyone hated it. Everyone hated his mouth.
This stuff is worse.
Everyone hated his confidence. Yeah. It may be, it may not be. I'm just, to me,
it depends, I guess.
I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm just saying I don't really want to sit back right now and recollect. It's because it's not really the point.
The point is, if you're being loud, you're going to get more attention.
Exactly.
And when the negative attention's there, you're going to get more negative attention.
And if he starts losing, if he loses next week,
can his ego deal with that? I don't know.
One, can his ego deal with that? But two, can he deal with the media firestorm that's going to come from him, because right now he's been a little sheltered because he hasn't been playing at front.
What about the self-doubt? If it becomes extremely clear and he's getting hit from all time, everywhere, he's never yet in his career really faced a moment where everybody was like, "Man, you suck."
Right, because he was good in college.
Right, and honestly, a lot of rookies have a game. Even really good rookies usually have a couple game stretch where it's like, "Wow, he's not playing well at all." Peyton Manning did.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Like, and I know a lot of people bring up Peyton Manning a lot, but
I know he's a famous.
Tom Brady had a bunch of games where he didn't look great, and you know what I mean? Like, usually guys have at least a stretch. Baker had a couple games in his rookie year where he had stretches that he didn't look great. Like, that happens. You know what I mean? Even great rookies, it happens. C.J. Stroud actually had one of the rare rookie seasons where he really didn't. But even Jane Daniels last year, go back and look. You'll see there's a couple game stretches where, like, he didn't look so hot.
Yeah.
Point being,
that'd
like,
be fine, but when you talk that kind of a game, you do set yourself up for a world of media backlash if it doesn't go super well.
Right, and look, the guy out of 209 passing yards, 146 were yards after the catch. 146. Again, I'm hoping it continues, but what I'm worried about is what happens when you're playing from behind.
Yeah, that's 75%, by the way.
When there's
75%.
Yeah,
of the yards.
So what happens when you're playing from behind and you need to make plays? When you're playing quick, are you going to make double the decisions? Because I got to tell you, everything in that game, like when he right away throws that pick, that awful pick, like, and then he throws another ball that could have been pickable, and he threw 2 pickables against the Ravens. One was just dropped, right? And like my immediate thought process is, man, if he starts playing the Niners are actually playing pretty good, and they start putting pressure on you and start actually building a lead, he's gonna throw 3-4 picks. And I'm hoping it's not the case, but that's what he's looking like he's playing like. That's why that post game conference is so defeating, because it's like you should be sitting there being like, okay, good, we got that win, but like, okay, let's go look at the tape. Let's make sure I'm continually getting better every week, and not talking about next off season. Like you have the starting gig for next year or something. My guy.
You're not even guaranteed
You have 2 good throws in a game and a half.
Yeah.
You've thrown 4 pickables and 2 good plays in a week and a half. And one of those good plays was on a play where it was on the last drive when you were down by more than a touchdown, and they're playing what do they call it? The kind of defense. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. When it's the end of the game and they don't have to give up a touchdown, and they
prevent defense. So and that one even requires an asterisk. You have one legitimately good play, like without any asterisk, in a game and a half of football. Mm-hmm. Like, you just need to have a good mindset so that you actually improve, or else, it comes down crashing out real hard, real quick, and you're just that funny footnote that people talk about in trivia questions. Yeah, exactly. And look, we're going to get a little bit more into that, what happens next week, but it's going to be really interesting to think about what's going to happen next week. And again, 100%. We'll get more into that in our preview segment. For right now, it's time for our Brownie Point segment. This is where, if you are a first-time listener, this is where we award Brownie Points to the standout players on offense and on defense. We give out 3, 2, and 1 Brownie Point. The more Brownie Points we get, we don't give ourselves any. The more Brownie Points you get, the better performance we thought that you had, unless nobody played well, in which case we don't give out any Brownie Points. But Brownie Points are really meant to be for standout performances, not he had a decent game. They're meant for be really top standout games. I think really Brownie Points, I don't think there's really any question. There's no discussion. That's going to be Myles Garrett. Not only did he show up in the numbers with the tackles for a loss and the 3 sacks, but he was consistently drawing those double and triple teams due to his impact. He has an incredible amount of gravity, which allowed the rest of the D linemen to go and eat and absolutely ate the Raiders' offense alive. And a large part because Myles Garrett was consistently drawing double and triple teams, allowing other people to have face less coverage. And you got to give them credit. Of course, they beat their man, but a lot of that also has helped. Again, Myles Garrett's gravity, the tackles for a loss that he got, the sacks, and he was in the backfield on a lot of plays.
Yep.
Just an incredibly consistent performance, and he's been on an absolute tear. He's up to 18 sacks now on the season, which is crazy because 4 weeks ago he had 5 sacks, and now he's up to 18. I think 4 weeks ago, I think he had about 5 sacks, and now we're talking about him being on pace right now to break the all-time record for sacks in a season. I believe he's on pace for about 25 sacks. We'll see what happens. Right now he's at 18. The record...
You expect to slow down at some point, but
the record is
what's good is even with it's 22
and a half. There's 6 games left in the season.
Yeah. But even with the slowdown, he could potentially get it. That's what's
right.
Interesting.
And
right?
if
because you'd expect that one of these games is going to slow down the pace a little bit.
Yeah.
But he could still do that and still get the record.
Absolutely. And even if you want to be fair to the record books and adjust,
because
he has an extra...
The Titans are coming up.
Yeah, but he has an extra game. So even if you want to adjust and say, all right, not 6 games, really 5 games as far as, in your mind, you know what I mean, what the record might be. Look, 18 sacks. He needs 4.5 sacks, roughly. 5 sacks to beat the record in 5 games. That's very doable for him.
3 against the Titans, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, he had 5
I think he'll
sacks,
get a few against the
4
Bears.
sacks, 1 sack, and now 3 sacks. So he's been on just an absolute heater.
I see 5 between the Bears and the Titans.
Yeah, I would.
way
It
he's
really
playing.
wouldn't shock me. I've never.
And the way those quarterbacks like to hold the ball and run around.
Yeah, I mean, before the game, I was like, I'm not a betting man, but I was like, I would bet on Myles Garrett to have 2 sacks in that game against the Raiders, and he went out and got 3. Absolutely incredible. He's definitely the favorite right now for Defensive Player of the Year. That's something we'll discuss more in a few weeks. At 2 brownie points, we have a potential Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate. Carson Schwarzenegger continues to impress both the local media and the national media when he comes on there. An absolutely impressive game. How did you feel about his performance?
I thought he's played really well, even for rookie. And what's really, really extra impressive about it is less foolish moments than you would expect from a guy who was playing linebacker 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Running back. He only moved over to linebacker and was a linebacker starter his last year.
Yeah, so it really makes you wonder how much more he's going to continue to improve as he gets
so I was
better
like,
at reading
I
defenses.
expect him to be good. I was like, I'm not that surprised. Look how good he was. That means he's going to be good. But he's still surprising in the fact that throughout so deep into the year, right, he's still made so little mistakes.
Yeah.
The fact that he hasn't had a few more like, okay, that was a head scratcher, but generally he's amazing.
Yeah.
That really speaks how good he is. And so I'm super excited for him.
Yeah.
Really hope we can get JOK back too. But
yeah. He's been a really
excited to see
short
him.
tackler, and I think you saw that against Ashton Genty.
Yeah,
Especially that
it was
one
awesome.
play where Genty tried to just run him over, and Schwarzenegger just wrapped him up and just boom, brought him right back down to the
nail.
ground. Yeah. I mean,
So I
incredible.
have a little bit of a change from my
It's
3.
just a rookie. You mean at 1 brownie point?
Brownie point, yes.
Yeah, who do you got at 1?
So one, I actually decided. I know we don't like doing. I'm gonna do a group award. The defensive tackles as a whole.
Okay.
Instead of just Malik Collins, because think about just Malik Collins, but you know what? It's not completely fair because Mason Graham actually had a really good game.
He did have a
too.
good game, too, yeah.
And it kind of was like just that general interior pressure.
Should we change the rules? Should we be allowed to give out more than 1 brownie point? Do you know what I mean? Like, you get a
But
brownie
they're doing a
point, you
similar
get a brownie
thing.
point, 1 brownie
No,
point. Like,
no, I'm giving it because they're like the same position.
yeah.
It's like they're doing the same thing.
So you can say co-winners.
stretch.
How about that? Mason Graham and Malik
Okay,
Collins
I'm
are
giving a
co-winners.
co-winner, but I'm only
All
giving
right.
co-winner because it's the same position. So like, it's sometimes where it's like there isn't one particular standout, but they're both standing out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And they're both from a
And
similar
a lot of times
position.
they affect each other too. So it's like
Yeah.
Malik Collins might, in the way that, right, like Myles Garrett might
Yeah.
allow Malik Collins to get a sack. Malik Collins, and
and they help
Mason
they
Graham,
help Myles
so-
Garrett a lot with the way they play.
yeah.
But
they've
Mason
been doing
Graham-
their part. Look,
Yeah.
Myles Garrett has been one of the best, pass rushers in the league for a very long time, and we have not seen this level of production from the defensive line as a whole. So, like, none of what I was saying about Myles Garrett's gravity should be taking away at all from what Malik Collins and Mason Graham have done. It's just worth noting.
Yeah, and I think we
yeah.
just want to give him a shout out and look, Mason Graham. And he looks like he's a good pick. For sure.
Yeah, he's
not who I would have taken, but he's a good pick.
but he's coming back on. Yeah, it's been nice to see, and hopefully,
and I
hopefully
expected that.
continues.
Like, I expect him to be a good pick. Again,
Yeah.
like I had my preference.
Yeah,
everybody
your
knows.
issue wasn't with
I like
him
McMillan. That was my
specifically.
guy.
Yeah, you just felt like we had other positional needs, like wide receiver and taking Ted McMillan.
and we'll see. But coming into this week, he was number 6 in the league in receiving yards.
Yeah,
So
I don't raise that right now, but yeah, I know, I remember that.
can't help but be wistful of good receivers when you're a Browns fan. I feel like that's just part of the rules.
Yeah, I mean, God, we could really use
but
one.
look, good pick. Graham does
Yeah.
look good, and Schwarzenegger looks great, and Judkins, whenever he gets an inch of daylight, looks good. So let's
Yeah.
not be too down.
Yeah. All right, we're going to roll into our preview segment. Browns are playing the Niners coming up. It looks like Shadeaur is going to start.
That's the report. That's what I believe Stefanski said. Actually,
That's what I would
So,
like to
that
see.
should-
I've seen enough from Dylan Gabriel. I'm just saying, like, I didn't see a ton of improvement from Dylan Gabriel. I don't know that there was even the possibility due to what was around him as far as the talent. But that being said, he looked like pretty much the same Dylan Gabriel week to week for me for the most part.
Yeah.
So we saw Shadeaur. Let's see if he can improve, and let's see if he can improve, or let's see if he crashes and burns. Either way, we gotta know going into next season, and at the very worst, it will quiet the media storm, one way or the other. So, we're expecting Shadeaur to play. Obviously, we've already talked about how we're expecting the Niners to adjust. One, we expect them to bring more heat, and I also would expect them to be more careful around the edges. I don't think they're going to QB spy him, but be more careful about protecting the edge to make sure he stays in the pocket, which will mean he will either collapse in the pocket and get sacked, or they're obviously hoping that he will back up. And those defensive linemen that are already coming around the edge can just break right off their lineman and sack him. That's what I'm expecting the Niners to adjust to. Obviously, we'll see what happens. The Niners have to
But be careful.
actually go out and do that.
You know who their defensive coordinator is?
The Niners.
They got back Robert Saleh this year.
Oh, Robert, yeah.
And even with injuries, Robert Saleh is a really... But people, I don't think gets enough credit.
Well, Robert Saleh got a head coaching job for a reason because he was a great defensive coordinator, right?
And honestly, he was great with the defense with the Jets. Like, the team wasn't good, but that defense was beast.
Yeah.
And then the moment he left, the defense wasn't beast anymore.
No, he's a great defensive coordinator.
He's a very good defensive mind.
And he's comfortable there because he was the defensive coordinator under Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah. So
he's right back in his element. He's going right back to where he was before. There's no reason to think that he's not back at it.
He's played at a high level. He's played, with the Jets, yeah, sure not. Maybe not so much with the Niners. He's done it at a high level.
Yeah.
He has seen a lot of guys. Shadeur's not throwing him a curveball. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's seen it, and he's going to adjust to it. He's going to know how to throw different blitz looks at him that it's going to require him to actually know how to call your protections.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is something the Raiders should have done, but that's not my problem.
So you're expecting Shadeur Sanders to look worse in this game?
I think he's going to look way worse because I think also the Niners' offense is good. Look, our defense is very good, but let's not pretend. They're not always going to look the way they did against the Raiders. Okay?
Right.
Like, when we've seen that in previous games, like, when they're consistently out on the field and they're playing good offenses will find ways to score. At the end of the day, the Niners are Kyle Shanahan-based offense. Mm-hmm. McCaffrey's going to be out there. Brock Purdy's going to be out there. He came back last week. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, he's back. And even Mac Jones, they still run a good offense. Mm-hmm. He's really brilliant. He's going to scheme some looks up. They're going to get some points. The Browns defense is good enough that they should keep them relatively contained, but only for so long. And ultimately, they will put up some points. I don't expect the special teams to get you, early touchdown. Therefore, you're going to probably be playing from behind. How are you going to recover from that? And I think that leads to things just getting super ugly.
Yeah.
I think he's going to look to be a hero. I think Shadeur Sanders' mindset is hero ball. I think it is in his DNA.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to lead to some really, really ugly plays. Now, does it change? Maybe. Maybe they play super conservative and he avoids that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe Dylan Sampson pulls off another crazy move. I don't know. But so far from everything I've seen, the Niners are going to play the underneath just fine. They're going to throw blitzes out there. There's going to be some ugly sacks. At that point, are they going to play from behind? I think so. And at that point, I think it just gets ultra ugly.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to not see Kyle Shanahan coming up with enough to put pressure. And then once there's pressure, I just think it's getting way worse. I don't think he's in the right mindset to make the moves he needs to make. And as such, I gotta be honest, I'm seeing a score of 34-10.
Oh wow!
I am seeing a beatdown.
Mm-hmm. Look, it really wouldn't surprise me because, again,
are good.
The Browns call the game for Shadeur Sanders. They call the game of a team that is not comfortable with letting him stay in the pocket. And my guess is, again, that's what the Niners are going to make him do. Now, we'll see what happens, but that's what I'm expecting. And I don't know that I saw enough to be confident that Shadeur Sanders has improved that much because, again, the Raiders are not that good. So there is that potential for what I thought would happen against the Raiders to happen. That's okay. There's that potential for what I was afraid might happen with the Raiders to happen with the Niners, and the Niners to have that big win. I also think it will be a win by the Niners. I do think it will be a big win. I also think it will be something around the lines of about 24, 25 to 10. Yep. I have a hard time imagining Shadeur Sanders performing, and that might not even mean that he's going to be bad overall. Growth is not necessarily linear. It doesn't necessarily just go like that. He can go, up a little bit here, then down. He could go back up.
Yeah, it's possible.
And I'm not saying if he performs bad, I even necessarily want to see him benched. I think I want to see him at least play 2 more games, right? See him have a performance, either good and he build on that, or have a bad performance and see how he bounces back. We have this time, we might as well see it, right? But I am very concerned about that from him. Like you said, the Niners' offense is significantly better than the Raiders. And yes, the Browns have a great defense, but they're going to find a way to get some scores. Kyle Shanahan, as you mentioned, is a brilliant offensive mind, and they have Brock Purdy back. So you expect they're going to score some points. They're going to put a little bit more pressure on the Browns. The Browns were very lucky in that they were able to dictate the flow of the game versus the Raiders. They had a lot of control over, there were a lot of plays where you noticed where the Browns played conservatively, right? And then they were like, and we'll just kick it back to them because we'll get a stop. They're not going to be able to do that against the Niners. They're not going to have that luxury. They're going to have to push the ball more. And the more you push the ball, the more opportunities you're giving for Shadeur Sanders to get sacked, the more opportunities for him to get picked, the more opportunities for him to see, to feel that pressure from the Niners. There's just so much room for this to go absolutely abhorrently, and I don't know that there's a ton of room for it to go super well. So again, that's why I had that 25-10 prediction.
If I might just something just real quick, just because something you mentioned about starters moving forward. And I'm okay with it. You want to play Shadeur, go ahead and play it. I'm fine with it. First of all, I'm fine with it because, my God, Browns fans are dying to see him. So please, by all means, go see him.
It's not like we need the wins.
Second of all, I don't think Dylan Lee's that many wins. I already said where I think he belongs. I think Dylan's... but here's the annoying thing is that don't be surprised if Dillon then gets traded in the offseason to a team that's a much better team that's looking for just like a backup, because they'll have some good backup who walks or whatever. Let's say the Colts, right? I mean, Richardson is struggling, so like maybe they trade him and they're like, we're just looking for someone who's like a little more steady, to back up Daniel Jones, and they pick him, and then he gets a couple games, and all of a sudden he looks good for the Colts. And people go, oh, why couldn't you do it with the Browns? Oh, the Browns can't figure it out. We're cursed. And it's like, no, he's a guy who you put him on the Colts, sure. Like, you put him with the good play callers, going to play to his strengths. He's got a ton of weapons. And he's not that he's amazing, but he's just like, he can deal to those guys, throw a couple 15-yard balls, and then they have a good defense, and they have a good run game.
He's not going to elevate a terrible team.
Right. But I think he can play in an offense where he's to his strengths, and he has a lot of strengths around him. He doesn't sabotage them either. Like, he can play up, he can make 15, 18-yard throws consistently to good players. Like, like that kind of thing. So, like, at the same time, don't be disappointed if that happens either. Just understand we're not in a position to take advantage of a guy like Dillon anyway. And that's okay. Yeah. That's where franchises are. Sam Darnold, Jets could be mad all day, but they weren't building the team to make him work anyway. Mm-hmm. He needed that time. He needed to spend it away to become the guy.
And it's not like he was immediately successful at the very next team he went to. Like, similar to Baker Mayfield, like when Browns like to be a little very revisionist about that whole situation. Like, even after they let him go, he went to the Panthers, and then they let him go, and then he went to the Rams.
That's a whole episode, because I would yell about that and say that was way off. But
the Panthers didn't let him go?
No. I mean, the whole take. I mean, that he wasn't good right away. I'm like, okay. I mean, he went to the Panthers like super late in camp. They had one good receiver. Teams double-teamed him all day long, and he was splitting reps, so he had no chemistry.
This is getting too far into the weeds.
But then he goes to the Rams, and he looks awesome. Like, if you actually watch that tape, he looked awesome.
Yeah.
Like, if you looked at, like, the situation, what he was walking into,
no, I remember that.
Pretty crazy.
No, it was a great story. I remember that. But
like, I don't think it's... Whatever.
We're getting too far into the weeds, yeah.
The point of that is just Joe Flacco, right? Joe Flacco runs out there. He has a lot of big stats in big games. Guess what? They're throwing to two superstars. The point of that is just merely you have the talent you have, and you have the guys you have.
Yeah, and you might as well let Shadeeur continue to play.
So if you want to let Shadeeur keep playing, that's fine with me. Dillon's not going to look that great anyway. Even if he has something to offer, it's not on this kind of team. Yeah. It's certainly not with this kind of play calling. It just doesn't play to his strengths.
Right.
So if you want to let Shadeeur go out there and that's what you want to do, it's fine with me. We're mostly playing for picks now anyway, so...
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's really no downside, right? Worst case scenario, we get a better draft pick. Best case scenario, it turns out he's good, right? There's no way for this to go poorly, in my opinion. If he's middling, we're taking a guy with a first-round pick anyways. The only way we're not taking a great first-round pick next year is if he plays incredible. So there's really no downside to this. There's no situation where we end up somewhere in the middle and then we kind of punt on a quarterback again and then we miss out on maybe a top guy and then we find at the end of next year that he wasn't that good. It's not going to be that situation. There's absolutely no downside. Let him play, but I do think it will go pretty poorly. Let's talk a little bit about some individuals before we end off this episode.
Yeah, sure.
It's actually, our predictions have been pretty damn accurate, although to be fair, they haven't been super bold.
Not for me this past week.
No, they haven't been super bold predictions, but they've been relatively accurate. What do you mean? We said Jerry Jeudy, we said under 40 yards.
It's true,
or 50 yards.
But I thought Shadeeur was going to be like 140.
Actually, Jerry Jeudy might have been at 50.
Well, I guess my stats weren't that bad because 140 a touchdown pick. If you take out this one Samson ridiculous play, it's more or less right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could argue, although no touchdowns, you could argue about it. Although the final score of the game was way off.
Yeah. No, the final score was way off. Yeah, we were really off about that. On the individual stuff, we were, I think, fairly accurate.
I just want to be like more honest accounting here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some of my predictions at the beginning of the year were pretty good. Some of them medium, right? So, like, my disappointing team was Washington.
Yeah.
That's looked great. Surprise team is the Giants. That has not looked good, but I think you know why.
Yeah.
Kind of big asterisks on the injuries. Kind of messed everything up.
Yeah.
Nick Bonito was my defensive player of the year pick. He's actually doing really good. He has about 10 sacks, but he's just not going to be his year. So, like, you know what I mean? I've had some ups and some downs, but I want to clarify. I try to be very honest when I have my downs.
Yeah.
And like
we're going to do, like, at the end of the year, we're going to try to do like, a review where we
where our
discuss all those things.
Who we thought was going to be good, who wasn't. So I just like to be clear. I like to be clear. But yeah, we can make some predictions. So
yeah, but this game specifically, right?
Yeah.
Again, Browns versus Niners, Myles Garrett. I'm going to be asking you this question every week until I have a reason not to ask you this question. But Myles Garrett, 1.5 sacks, over under.
Under. They're going to specifically game plan around it.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is the game where he has one, and then the week after is where he bounces back again, has two or more.
It's not even a bounce back. They're going to plan around it, and they're going to plan around it not just from the perspective of having extra players.
Not just going to double him; they're going to play away from him.
They're going to play away from them, play quicker. And Brock Purdy can operate that kind of offense.
Yeah,
like Brock Purdy.
That's the best way to neutralize Myles Garrett: is get rid of the ball in 2 seconds.
His biggest strength is quick processing.
Yeah.
They're going to build plays around getting around the pass rush. So it's not about Myles Garrett being good. It's just that they're good enough to do what they need to do to get around that.
Yeah.
And there'll just be limited opportunities. If he gets one, I think that's a testament how good he is because they're going to build around getting, dealing with him.
Especially if they build a lead, they're going to be running the ball more, and there's going to be less opportunities.
The ball, there's going to be a lot more quick dump offs, tight end screens, rollouts away from him with extra team and a running back. They're going to build around it, and for that reason, under. Yeah. Not a knock on Garrett. Nothing to do with the knock on. I just want to make that very, very clear.
Yeah.
Loving his motor this year. But look, like some teams know what they're doing. They're good enough. They have the right personnel that can match the coaching scheme to make it work to go around a specifically amazing player like Garrett.
Yeah. How about Shadeur Sanders? 1.5 interceptions, over under.
Over.
So I had a feeling you're going to go over under. So I'm a little high.
Unlike last game, he's going to have to keep throwing downfield.
Yeah.
He threw one pick in the early second quarter.
Yeah,
he threw another ball that was pickable.
Yeah.
He threw 2 pickables in a half and a full game.
And he basically threw a pick against the Ravens, and hasn't barely played. So
right, and in this game, like he mostly just wasn't throwing downfield. Like you throw him in a game where he's going to get pressured a lot, and I think he's going to actually have to make big plays consistently to stay in this game. Yeah, I definitely think over.
Browns wildcat plays, 3 or more, or 3 over under. I could say 3.5 over under 3. Wildcat plays.
Interesting.
I think under. I think they're gonna run like
probably
2.
under because I don't think they're. I might be wrong, but I think they know that like that's not gonna work again necessarily. Not to mention, I don't think they're gonna spend that much time in the red zone.
No, definitely not.
And they definitely seem to prefer that play in the red zone.
Yeah,
so,
unless the defense makes a big play. Which, to be fair,
you might.
The defense has had
3rd and short more.
The defense have been doing
that.
If
they incorporate more in 3rd and short.
Pretty much every game actually, as of late, the Browns have been gifting the offense. The ball, pretty much in the red zone, or very close to the red zone. Let's see who else.
It's possible. I just think they're gonna
Jerry Jeudy, 50 yards over under, 55. I should say. Sorry, 55 yards over under.
Probably under.
Yeah.
I mean, again, he didn't do it in this game.
I know it's really disappointing to watch because he's so talented, and it's not his fault. They're just
Sometimes, although this past game that fumble was
not from Jerry Jeudy. I'm sorry. What did I say? I said Jerry Jeudy. I meant to say Quinton Judkins.
Okay, because you were saying the under, and I was like, Jerry Jeudy, I mean, it is partly his fault. He's super talented.
No. I'm talking about Quinton Judkins.
Is the problem.
No. Quinton Judkins.
Quinton Judkins, under, because they're going to game plan
I think
around
under
him.
too, yeah.
And honestly, everybody except the Raiders over the last 3-4 games have completely stifled him. Not because he isn't good, but because, I mean, look, Nick Chubb in the back half of the 2021 season got stuffed. Like, when you're the weapon, everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Like that.
How about Harold Bannon? 40 yards over under.
I'm going to take the over. I think there's going to be some late game garbage time.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, they're going to want to dump off
getting extra yards after catch. Like, I don't think he's going crazy, but I think he'll find a way.
He has a way of turning 3 into... Again, he's that guy. He turns 3 into 5. And sometimes he turns 5 into 15.
Yeah, I think... And I do think there'll be at least one catch in garbage time for, like, an easy 15-ish.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we'll carry him over. So I will go over. I mean, I wouldn't say bet on it, but if you're asking me to bet on it, I would bet on it. That's where I would go.
Well, there you have it. We got some individual performance predictions. We gave you our overall thoughts on how we feel the flow of the game is going to go.
But if you want a positive Browns bet.
Okay, go ahead.
Schwezinger on the over in tackles.
How many?
I pretty much don't care where it is. He's going to hit it. They're going to run it a bunch down late, and he's going to make tackles.
All right. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying
so
on that. Yeah.
If you're looking for a positive Browns bet.
Yeah, because you're saying the Niners are going to take the lead. They're going to run the ball more, and that's going to play to Schwezinger.
9 tackles. He had 8 in the first half.
Yeah.
Like Schwezinger's tackles is a good move. So I just want to throw at least one positive.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it was fairly negative outside of the Myles Garrett one. But anyways, so we got some individual predictions. We got your overall game flow and overall thoughts about how the game's going to play out, as well as our
hopefully the
score
NFL,
predictions.
Hopefully this Sunday is as surprising as a lot of the NFL has been this year. So
yeah, and look, a lot of our game predictions recently have been a little bit off, especially in that score line. So we'll see what happens this week. Hopefully we at least have something interesting to talk about, and we'll see you next week.
That's my favorite. Maybe Bailey Zappi will throw for 400 yards in relief. You never know.
Maybe.